This is a quick video for parents and caregivers to introduce you to articulation tip sheets and show you how you can use them to help your child in their speech sound therapy. Using this sheet and the tips provided can save you hours of time in home practice planning and greatly improve the chances that you'll actually get speech homework done during those busy days in between speech therapy sessions. Before I explain the different sections of the tip sheet, let's have a brief chat about why parents and other caregivers must practice speech sounds at home. You may be thinking, I'm already bringing my child to speech therapy, or my child is getting speech therapy at school. Isn't that enough? Speech therapy with a licensed speech-language pathologist is indeed essential, but there are limits to what this can provide for your child. When your child's SLP has asked you to practice a speech target with your child, it's because your child is ready to practice that target outside the speech therapy room. This is a big deal because now you can play a more active role in supporting your child's progress in speech therapy. The more opportunities that you can provide for accurate practice, the greater the chances your child can get maximum benefits from their speech therapy sessions with the SLP. Simply relying on weekly sessions with SLP will not provide your child with anywhere near the same number of practice opportunities that are possible when you know how to create opportunities at home in all the hours and days in between speech therapy sessions. You have more access to your child in their everyday real-life situations, so you can provide an essential link between the SLP clinic room and your child's own environment. Your child's SLP has expert knowledge about teaching speech sounds and knows your child's specific speech profile, but you are the expert on your child. You know how they learn best, what they're interested in, what keeps them motivated, and the activities that you do on a regular basis that can support speech learning, and so much more. You do not need to know everything that your child's speech-language pathologist knows, but you can learn enough about your child's speech targets and the process that they're going through in speech therapy to learn those targets to be a very effective partner in your child's speech therapy team. So our hope for you is that you can learn enough to be able to practice speech targets with your child consistently to maximize the benefit that they will get from their speech therapy sessions. Now, we all know, because we are parents ourselves, that despite our intentions to do homework, we don't always get to it as consistently as we need to because there are so many other demands on our time. But consistent home practice is what your child needs for optimal speech therapy progress. And that is where speech activity routines become an important tool for parents. With this method, you don't need to carve out special time to complete a worksheet or to go through flashcards with your child. These materials often get lost anyway, or they stay in the bottom of your child's backpack. Sometimes these materials contain words that your child never uses in their day-to-day speech. That doesn't mean there's no benefit to practicing those words, but it can be much more meaningful if you can connect the work being done in speech therapy with words that relate to your child's daily life. A speech activity routine can be made using any activity you do with your child. Simply look at the activity, whether it's dusting furniture, walking to school, driving to soccer practice, making supper, anything and everything you do with your child beside you. Think about the things that you repeat over and over again and add a repeatable speech turn. To make this simple, we use the sentence, when we blank, we're going to say blank each time we blank. So here are some examples from our YouTube videos on speech activity routines. Let's say tonight we're having soup for supper. We're going to make a routine around soup. So when we make soup, we're going to say, drop a piece. That's our repeatable speech turn. It has come directly from the articulation tip sheet. Each time we add each ingredient to the pot. So when we make soup, we're going to say, drop a piece in each time we add each ingredient to the pot. That's the repetitive action or step. So you can imagine how many times you're putting each little piece of onion or carrot or celery into that soup. And every single time is an opportunity to get some speech practice in, doing an activity that you were going to do anyway. Here, the routine is just simply throwing a ball back and forth. So when we play ball, we're going to say toss. That's the repeatable speech turn that's on the articulation tip sheet for T initial. It's also there for S final, and it's there for CVC syllables. So let's back it up. When we play ball, we're going to say toss. Each time we toss the ball back and forth. That's the repetitive action or step that goes along with playing ball. Now, if your child likes to play ball, you could create 100 opportunities to practice a target every single day in between speech therapy sessions, having fun with your child all along the way. Check out Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and the website speechtherapysupports.com for many more examples of real-world opportunities for speech practice through speech activity routines. Now let's have a look at these articulation tip sheets. It starts with a note from your child's SLP where we explain why your home practice is so important and we introduce you to ourselves. So the name of your child's SLP and how you can reach them if you have questions or need more information or really anything at all. The second section introduces you to the target that your child is focusing on, how it's made, what it sounds like, common errors that could be made, how it's spelled, because speech sounds themselves may be spelled with different letters than what we think. For example, if you're working on S at the beginning of words, you could be actually practicing words that are spelled with a C at the beginning, or even a P. And some words that start with the letter S don't actually start with the S sound. So that's an important section to consider, as well as the verbal cues, visual or gestural cues, ways that your SLP make sure that your child is getting their targets done correctly. And those are cues that you will need to use as well in some instances. So there's a section where your child's SLP may write specific information about the cues that your child responds best to. This section also has a big red stop sign, just as an important reminder to pause practice anytime you're not sure. For example, if your child's attempts to create the targets seem distorted or they don't sound quite right, or if your child can't even make the sound in isolation. Anytime you're unsure, it's just a reminder to let your child's SLP know. Section 3 contains our recipe for a great speech practice session at home. We need to remember 3 elements. What your child is doing should be accurate. It should actually be practicing this correct version of the speech target. Your child should be highly engaged. That is why we're using routines that your child already does. And you need to get maximum reps, so as much repetition of those accurate productions as you possibly can. Again, that's why we're using the repetitive element of a routine. And then we have the steps. Those are the steps that normally speech-language pathologists will go through with your child to get them from not being able to produce a target at all to consistently using that target in everyday speech. It is a process, and it is important to work at the step that is recommended to you by your child's SLP. So those are the steps that children go through: isolation, syllables, words, phrases, sentences, and conversation. And there's a note there for that your child's SLP to write in what step that they are at this particular time. On the second page of the sheet, or the flip side if you have it double-sided printed, we see a picture at the very top right corner of the mouth position for that particular target when that's available. And then we have ideas of the repeatable speech turns for all the different levels of practice, whether it's isolation, syllable, word, phrase, sentence, or structure conversation level. So the things in these boxes are the actual repeatable speech turns that you can use in your speech activity routines. Now, at isolation level and syllable level, it can be a bit tricky to use speech activity routines because you're not yet using words or phrases or sentences. So what we suggest is that you use a Fast 5 technique, which is simply that you tell your child, I want you to do 5 snake sounds or 5 L sounds or whatever the target is, either the sound itself or a syllable. So you might say, I want you to say li, li, li. That would be your syllable for L's. Or so, so, so. That would be a syllable for S. So you say, I want you to say that 5 times, and every time your child does the target, you put a finger up. So you start with your closed fist, and then you put a finger up. And when you get all 5 fingers up, you give each other a high five. and then your child gets to take their turn in the routine. Now, if it's going well and you can make it a fast 10 and use both of your hands and do a double high five, even better. Whether it's to turn the pages in the book, or to add the veggies to the soup, or to toss the ball back and forth, to shoot the ball into a net, to sweep the dirt from the floor into the dustpan, whatever the routine is, and whatever the step is of that routine, you just do the fast 5 or the fast 10 technique before your child gets their turn. Or if you prefer, you can do fist bumps. You just start with your open hand, and every time your child produces their target, you put a finger down until you end up with your closed fist, and then you do your fist bump. The word level practice section is big. There's a lot of words in there because word level practice is so important. And once you get beyond word level practice into phrases, sentences, and structured conversation, you can still use these words that are listed here as the basis of your speech activity routines going forward. Now, at first glance, people often look at these Artic tip sheets and say, wow, why are there so many words? And some of the words on there, they say, why would you say that word? You know, if you're only working with 3-year-olds, why would you use the words cyclone, for example? Well, there's a lot of different reasons, and there will be a separate video that discusses vocabulary selection and why there are so many options. But the short answer is because every family is different. You all talk about different things. What is commonplace for people to use in terms of vocabulary may be so different from one family to the next, from one individual to the next. And it's important for you to know all the different words that you could be practicing with your child. Some people will look at, for example, this S initial articulation tip sheet, and for them, the word sensor comes up often. They may have a security system and they may be talking about the sensors. So that would never normally occur on a speech therapy worksheet that you would get at home, but for that particular family, that's a great word to use. Similarly, if a family is really into fitness and they're doing sit-ups all the time, isn't it great to be able to say, oh yeah, sit up, let's do that word. And if we do 25 sit-ups together, we're going to get 25 repetitions of our speech target. So there's a lot of other reasons why there's so many words, and some of the words you might say are yucky and I would never use those with my family, and that's fine too. It is completely customized for you, and it's a source of inspiration for you to build your speech activity routines on. So no, you do not need to practice every single one of those words. Please don't do that. Use it as inspiration so that you can find speech activity routines that will work for you. And another important thing to note is the variety of the types of words. Pay special attention to verbs and other great words. The more great words section contains adjectives, like describing words. And those words can be so helpful because we use them all the time in everyday speech. And then we have the power words. Power words are words that I tend to use frequently. You may have your own power words, and you can circle those or star those or draw a lightning bolt beside them. But they're ones that can be used across a whole bunch of different activities. So for example, for the S initial word, the word see is there because you can talk throughout the day about things that you see. It's a very common word. Same with the word say or said. If you're talking about what somebody said in an earlier interaction, or when you're looking at books together and you're talking about what the different characters said, or after you watch a show together, talking about what people said. So it's a word that can be used across a whole bunch of different activities throughout the day. Every week, we're having great discussion in our Facebook group with parents sharing ideas about what we're doing for speech activity routines to help our kids at home. We're posting new examples on YouTube of different activities that you can do with your child to practice. And we're posting resources in Instagram as well. So find us on those socials. The links are below in the bio as well. Or head to the website where you will find some more resources for you to help you. If you want to get everything you need to fully support speech sound therapy with your child in between sessions, consider taking the Parent Speech Helpers program, where we provide deep learning, where you get complete understanding of the speech therapy targets your child is working on and the process we use in speech therapy to learn them. We give you ideas and inspiration no matter what your child's speech sound goals are. We make activity routines intuitive, so you can create them on the fly. You get really good at just figuring out how you're going to practice speech in all the day-to-day moments you have with your child. You learn to connect with your child's SLP. You obtain and maintain great communication with your child's SLP to get the help and information you need to really bridge the distance between speech sessions and daily life. And you can connect with other parents, share your ideas, and learn from each other. If you take Parent Speech Helpers, you will get more than 6 hours of video content, broken up into 5 to 10 minute mini lessons that you complete at your own pace. You get help in other important areas that really influence success, like motivation for your child, providing appropriate feedback, dealing with frustration when they're not understood, when you don't understand them, troubleshooting home practice, and many other topics. Our lessons are interactive with clear and customized action plans at each step that help you create speech activity routines that work for your family's lifestyle. We give you free resources to help you practice at home, including the Parent Speech Helpers Workbook, which is a digital workbook that allows you to easily communicate back and forth in an efficient way with your child's SLP. We also offer membership in a private Facebook parent group where you get inspiration and support from other parents who are also working with their children on speech sound targets at home. If you're interested in learning more about Parent Speech Helpers, there is a free lesson preview in the link below, and you can certainly contact us for more information. So now you have the knowledge to really begin to create some meaningful practice opportunities for your child. Print off the tip sheet if you haven't already, post it in an area that will make you remember to do it, and then start having some fun doing the things that you've already been doing with your child, but now you know how to make it a speech therapy practice activity. If you need any help, always reference back to our other resources. Have some fun!